Are you thinking about doing a swim run but don't know where to start with all the gear? I'm Chip from the Low Tide Boys, and in this video, we're gonna break down all the gear you need to have to do your first swim runs, plus some cool upgrades. So first, a quick breakdown about what swim run is. Swim run's an endurance sport where you go from point A to point B, alternating between running and swimming, hence the name swim run. There's a lot of variance between the run and the swim legs, so the gear demands are quite unique. What are the basics, the bare essentials for you to do your first swim run? Maybe you don't want to be investing a lot of money into that, so we're going to keep it more budget conscious. Along the way, we're also going to provide a couple of upgrade options if you're looking to spend a little bit more, or you've done a few swim runs and you're looking to upgrade your existing kit. All right, let's jump right in. For essential gear, nothing's more essential than your Swimrun Wetsuit. This wetsuit is specific for swim run because you are running and swimming. It has a very flexible bottom, much more flexible than what you might be used to from your open water or even your triathlon wetsuits. And a couple other key features are it has a front zip, so you can unzip a lot easier here. It's also short sleeved as well as cut off right before the knee. So it really is providing the ultimate mobility and flexibility for when you are having those run legs, as well as some warmth with the neoprene. A lot of swimmer wetsuits as well have some storage in the back, which is great for storing those gels or some of the gear, because everything you start the race with, you need to finish the race with. A nice entry-level wetsuit will run you about $200, and they go all the way up to about $600 US. At the higher end that you're gonna get, more flexibility, lighter weight, and just higher performance. You can also rent these for many of the races around if it's just a one-time thing that you want to try out. I would say give it a shot and rent it, but if you're looking to invest a little bit money, a swimmer wetsuit is going to be a great place. So now that we've covered swimmer wetsuit, let's move into the next thing, shoes. What shoes do I wear for swim run? Do I need specific shoes for swim run? I've never swum in my shoes before. We hear all these questions a lot. Here's the good news. You can start with what you have now. So these are just some of my favorite trail shoes. One thing to look for, you want to make sure it has some nice lugs on it, like these Terex from Adidas, because you are going to be getting out over rocks and some slippery areas. You want to make sure that you have good grip. You also want to make sure there's not a lot of fabric on the shoe because they are going to be in water. And these Adidas shoes are really great. Not any fabric here, so very lightweight. They're not going to retain water between the swims and the run legs. What kind of socks do I need? Am I going to get blisters running in wet shoes? That's something else you don't need to worry about. We use some synthetic socks like these from Swiftwick or CEP, and they compress your feet very nicely, so there's no slippage. Blisters are not going to be a problem for your first swim run. Make sure you're not using cotton socks, but some synthetic or merino wool will do the trick. So next up on essential gear is a Swimrun pool buoy and paddles. So why would you need Swimrun buoy and paddles? Well, because you are swimming with your shoes on, that creates a lot of drag when you're swimming. So a nice big pool buoy like this one, which is specifically for swim run, will actually really get your body in a nice position to eliminate that drag with your shoe. This one's called the Arc Keel Plus. So if you're a little bit bigger, you might want the Plus. They even have a mega version, and then they have them all the way down to small. So no matter what size you are, you can find a pool buoy that is right for you. If you're just starting out, you can totally use whatever pool buoy you have. We have plenty of other videos on our channel to figure out how to DIY it for yourself. But for 40 bucks, it's a pretty good investment to buy a Swimrun pool buoy. Now on to swim paddles. Most swim runners are using hand paddles. So you're in a good position with the pool buoy. Now you might want to think about adding some paddles to your swim run equipment mix. This will really help you have a strong pull phase of your stroke and move you faster through the water, especially again, since you are dragging your feet with shoes on. If you're not using swim run paddles in your training, you can either start now, but it's not something we would recommend brand new for race day because it's going to put a lot of strain on your shoulder. The plastic paddles that you've been using since high school will totally work for your first swim run. Now, if you are looking for a cool upgrade, they even make carbon fiber swim paddles. We love these ones from Frank Paddle. He hand makes these in Sweden. Carbon fiber swim paddles are obviously very light, incredibly stiff, and they're just cool because they're carbon fiber. So next we're going to cover some accessories. Your race will give you your swim cap. Obviously you're going to have your goggles. You put these on and you wear them during the race. So you also want to think about nutrition. So I always bring a soft flask like this to carry it with water or some fluids, and then your favorite gel to take during the race, because many of these swim runs can take you anywhere from an hour up to 10 plus hours, depending on the distance that you're doing. You're going to need to fuel your body. So we like a soft flask like this, can be folded up very small, stuff it inside your wetsuit, and these gels, they can go in your pocket in the back. or somewhere in your wetsuit as well. Not an essential item, but a nice to have is something like this, an Arc Kangaroo top. This is a storage top that you wear underneath your wetsuit. Has multiple pockets there, so you can stuff your hydration, your paddles, your goggles if you want to take that off on a longer run. This is really nice to have, and it will keep everything in one tidy place so you know where to find it. So there's a look at the essential gear. Some favorite gear that we like on the Low Tide Boys is made by Arc Sports. They make amazing wetsuits. They make those pull buoys. They make the kangaroo tops there. We both wear the Adidas Terex running shoes. We really love the carbon fiber paddles from Frank Paddle, and our favorite nutrition is going to be Precision Fuel and Hydration. That's what we've been using for the last couple of years. That works really well for us. Now for some final tips. The best gear is the one that works for you. You don't have to invest a lot of money to have fun at Swimrun. You can totally start with the beginner level wetsuit and a lot of the shoes and the swim stuff that you already have existing. It's a little bit different than what you might be used to if you've come from trail running or triathlon or open water swimming. So we have found it really valuable to practice using your gear, try it on, see what works for you. When you're training for your race, part of your training should be swimrun practices where you go out and you'll run into the water, do a swim, get out, do a run, and do a few times of that. It will get a really good feel on, hey, I like having my paddles here. This works well for my gels, things like that. It helps you really dial in your setup. Don't be afraid to tap into the Swimrun community. They're always happy to share tips and tricks on equipment that's worked for them, how to DIY your own pull buoy setup. And of course, we have lots of that info here on Low Tide Boys. So head on over to lowtideboys.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out the podcast, and we'll see you out there.